Nomad PDU. We're up to number 8, which is can you charge a unit by solar? What setting should I have it on if there's no lithium available? And can I charge it from regulated or unregulated, both, etc. So the answer to that is yes, you charge it by solar, and that's a preferred way to charge. And you have a regulated, unregulated charge capacity. So the MPPT, which is the red and black poles in both these units, maximum charge input of 10 amp, okay, at any given time. So 10 amp MPPT and a range of 8 to 36 volt MPPT. So you can plug it in with an unregulated panel. You check the back of the panel, it'll tell you what the output max rating is. So typically a panel that's around about 150 to 180 watt unregulated will probably give you around about the 10 amp mark. Please check the back of the panel before you go and use such. You can charge by a regulated panel, so you'll have an MPPT on the back and you'll regulate the charge. If you've got the V4, which is this one here, the regulated charge over here is a maximum of 10 amp input. With the V5 over here, we've upgraded the BMS, and you can have a maximum of 25 amp input. So you can have up to, say, a 280 watt panel, sometimes 300. The other question people say is, can I use the panel from the roof of my house? And also, can I use 24, 36 and 48 volt panels? Don't go doing that. The BMS is a 12 volt system, so if you go through any of the BMSs, the 25 amp BMS on the V5 or the 10 amp BMS on the V4, it's 12 volt. So you could use, for example, if you're going to go through an MPPT here, because it has an inbuilt MPPT, unregulated from the panel, I can use an 8 to 32 volts. So I could use a small 24 volt panel. But the fact is, no, from the house, the panels will be too big and they'll push in too much amperage. The other thing that I wanted to raise is people are trying to say, okay, I'll put 10 amp in here and I'll put 10 amp in there. Or I'll put 10 amp in here and 25 in over here. There's absolutely no point. There's no advantage of doing it. You can't make it fuller than when it's full. So trying to charge it after it's full and trying to push more into it is pointless. It is happening a lot, and it does have over voltage protection. However, that raises the question, if you put 10 amp into this and 10 amp into that, well, as we said, the V4 is a 10 amp max rate charge at any given time. If you put 10 in there and 10 in there, what's the amount you're charging? You're trying to charge at 20 amp. What will happen in that scenario is this will not switch between regulated and unregulated and only push in 10 amp. If you connect everything you can to it, it'll push in whatever, it'll push in and take whatever it can get its hands on. So the thing you have to ask is, will this unit shut down? Yes, it has over voltage protection, and it will actually shut itself down in respect to that. So what that means in the vehicle, if you keep on trying to overcharge it, by the end of the day it has taken no charge, because you're trying to overcharge it. So it's deflecting the power to protect the unit. It's doing exactly what it wants. So a lot of customers say it's not doing as it's supposed to do. And I look at what they're doing. They've got a solar panel on the top, 180 watt panel, and it's actually plugged into here, and then they've got a DC-DC charger plugged into the unit. And they assume, again not reading instructions, they'll assume that the unit will choose which one it wants to charge from. No, it doesn't. The maximum charge rate of the unit, the V4, is 10 amp, okay? By whatever means. You could have 5 amp going in here, 5 amp going here, but the fact is, a simple way to make sure you don't damage the unit is to do either. Either charge it by the regulated or by the unregulated ports, okay? Because the fact is, people are always going to try and push more into it. They'll say 1 or 2 amp here doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Just like with flash and flicker, it's not going to take a charge on. The V5, okay, over here, maximum 25 amp regulated charge, maximum 10 amp input here. Use either or, don't use both. And that's just to be safe. Could you charge them both together and use a max of 25 on the V5? Only if you're 100% sure it didn't exceed, I would say, 20 amp. Maximum input 25. 10 amp here, but you cannot, across the unit on the V5, you cannot exceed a 25 amp charge. Do not plug it into a 40 amp charger, okay, and do not try to fuse it to get higher amount of amp into these units, okay. So when we're talking about charging from a solar panel, it's very, very simple. It's a regulated panel or it's an unregulated panel. Please choose the regulated or unregulated charge source. Don't use them both together, just to be safe. If you make a mistake, it won't matter so much if you're using one. If you're trying to bang in 2 lots of power and you're making a mistake, you're probably going to damage the unit, probably the BMS. Okay, so on the V5, you've got a maximum 25 amp regulated input. Always check the back of the panels for the maximum output. Depends on the efficiency of the panels to talk about the watt range. But typically on the V5 you might get about 280 watt panel into it, which is quite a significant panel, and a 25 amp charge rate is significant for a unit of this size, considering the amount of power you have available. Maximum charge on these, 12.6 fully charged, 8.4 discharge. 80% DOD. Can you charge from car and solar at the same time? So we talked about the regulated, unregulated. If you're going to charge from the vehicle through the, say the AC/DC charger or the DC/DC, and you've got that connected to the unit, and you're running it regulated and you're getting 10 amp in there on either unit, don't go plug in the solar panel thinking it's better. It's not. You've got a 10 amp charge in. If you've only got 3 amp coming out, what advantage do you have trying to put in 25 amp when it's using 2 amp an hour and you're putting in 10? It's completely pointless, and it's a thing that people have got to get away from. It's don't try and push as much as you can and try and kill the unit. We're trying to make you have a long life with these batteries, but if we keep on trying to hammer them and badger them and belt them all the time as much power as we can get, it's eventually going to fail. Okay, the rating again is on the actual instructions. Okay, exceeding what it says in the instructions, again, you're running the unit at risk of failing, and then again voiding warranty. But at the end of the day, if you're in a campsite and you've got no power, you're only going to disadvantage yourself. So again, follow the instructions and you won't have a problem. One quick one here. Can you run the PDUs in parallel? Okay, forgetting the V4, the V5, you could run 2 of these together, okay, in parallel, which means you have still 12 volt system. You connect the 2 together, you use one as a master, the other one as a slave that will feed power across. You put a 10 amp fuse in it, okay, and you can run it. Yes, you'll have 200 amp hour instead of 100. So you could run a campsite with 2 of these units. You can connect one with yours with your friends. Just run one unit and use one as a feeder, and you could actually charge that. Yes, you could charge that unit over there by a solar panel or by another means while it's feeding across. Okay, use one of them as the master that's going to feed all your accessories. Okay, so now that takes us up to number 11. We've got 4 more to go. We'll cover that in the next tutorial, so that'll be stage 5.